Welcome to Forever Exiled, the pathofexile podcast. I'm Justin, a.k.a. Tags.
Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 107. Happy League launch, everybody.
Yeah.
It's out. Scourge is out.
And for us, what a League launch it was.
So far, yeah. Been good.
I know it's not everyone's
Perfect.
experience. It is. That's a good word. Nothing wrong happened once for us, just.
Had a
Nothing.
queue. Wasn't happy about a queue.
No, I had other people in front of me in a
Unacceptable.
lineup. I don't like lineups.
No, but so far it's been good. It's been a good League launch. We're not far in, but it's been fun.
We crushed it. We're done. We're done.
2 acts.
Do you get grumpy at a McDonald's drive-thru, Justin, when there's someone ahead of you?
Well, are they one of those assholes that's ordering for like 15 people and they just take forever? Then yes. Oh, especially in a McDonald's where you got to pick a left or right and you pick one of them and you're like, damn it. Never go behind a van. Like ever. You just know.
No, it's the opposite. It's always the opposite. It's like when you're driving on the highway, Justin. It's like you could drive behind the semi-truck or you could drive behind the person who's always going fast, but you know they're going to be like brake happy, but the semi-truck slow and steady gets you there. Same thing. Like people where we are, McDonald's has 2 lineups in the drive-thru and then you merge into one just in case, I don't know why, but they do. And so anyway, Justin, when you're in behind and you choose and you see a van, you go to the van because you know they got their stuff down. They're like, no, I got this thing down. They got the app already figured out. They've ordered their 7 meals and they're ready to go.
No. But that's what happens like 1 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10, you can see the person like looking behind them like, what do you want? Yelling at everybody in the car.
Those are the worst van people in the world. You do not want to see what their house looks like. But
anyway,
Scourge.
episode 107. We're
Scourge.
here. Big shout out to our patrons. We got a couple new patrons this week, Stanky and a lot of iguanas. Thank you both for joining the Patreon. Your faces are awesome. If you're curious what our Patreon is, it gets you access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast, which follows the main podcast. It's just a more podcast, extra podcast, stuff and things. Tyler and I talking.
Yeah. So if you moderately like us, but you like podcasts, we got another one.
We got more for you. Anyway, you can check out information on our website. It's also down below. I don't know where else it is. Anywhere. Just Google it. You'll find us.
Google.
So, how was your week?
I had a week.
Non-PoE week. Yep.
I didn't have a non-PoE week. League launch week for content creators is a PoE week. That's it.
Okay, how was your week?
It revolved around PoE content creation, but it was the most relaxing content creation I have ever done. This was so nice for them to release patch notes. Now, we actually didn't even know that 3-part like reveal that they did was technically their dev manifesto. I thought it was like they were still going to come out with a dev manifesto, so we incorrectly labeled one of our previous episodes. It was like the pre-dev manifesto or something. But anyway,
Yeah, it was fine.
they came out with the 3-part, then they came out with the patch notes, and then what else did they come out with that was helpful? Oh, then the passive tree. All those were earlier than their normal reveal time, and I was able to really thoroughly go through the tree, really thoroughly redo my guides. They were out like a day and a half earlier than they normally are, but I was able to take my time with it. I wasn't stressed. I could easily take time to do other things around the house that I needed to. And then it gave me tons of time. By the time the filter information came out, that's all I had left to do. And oh man, it was the most relaxing League launch ever. So really, really cool. And I've been redoing my filter like every day for the last 3
months. You say redoing, you just never stopped doing your filter.
But it's a long process, Justin. You just don't change a filter in one
Hold on.
day.
Let me just tell you, you are the biggest nerd ever. I got a message from him the other day saying, and I could just hear the gleefulness in this text that he had 12,000 lines in his filter. And I was like, I don't care. Cool.
It was like 3,000 before. Now it's 12,000. It's awesome. But no, like every day I was doing a new section because it would take a bit, half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever it is, sometimes an hour. And I'd be going through, and I'm actually still not done. All the filters done, but how it's organized for people that want to look through it isn't. But man, that new system that I have that took that long made League launch so much easier this time around too. The editing, it was so good. I had so much time on my hand, Justin, that I redid the build with 3/16 tree for both Chris with a K, our buddy, and my wife, who they once a month, maybe twice a month, they'll play PoE. I even had time to do their builds before League launch just in case. So
sweet.
Anyway, But on one of the times I was like checking something out in the game, and I was I forget what it was that I was checking out, but sometimes you need to check something out in game. And I saw that, it's the end of the league. And this is one of those weird leagues where even diehards were barely playing. I mean, there were some like Deedledo who's always playing, which is amazing. But even standard players had a hard time motivating themselves at the end of 315 because everything was changing, right? Like your Atlas progression was just, your Delve progression was like everything's kind of resetting in a way. Not entirely, but for the most part. And so the only thing you're really carrying over is items and currency, which of course, sure, that's motivation. But for the most part, all that extra progression is kind of what, where the motivation would kind of die off. So anyway, not a lot of people online, but I saw Shaq online, Shaq Central. And I'm like, this is awesome. So, how people have different hideout settings? Well, Mr. Shaq Central says, you can visit my hideout if you're on my friends list. So I'm like, yes, please. Not playing with him at all. I just wanted to go in with my biggest minion build, just like sit in the middle of his hideout and just weird him out and freak him out and have my zombies going brrr and stomping around. Anyway, he didn't show up in his hideout once. Apparently, he was doing some sort of ritual thing where people wait on ledge and they pray to whatever in-game thing for patch notes to come out soon or something. I forget what it was. Bex mentioned something about it online. I hear if you pray to whatever, and anyway, so apparently Shaq with a bunch of other people was on the ledge. But anyway, it was funny. I'm gonna try it again. And one completely pointless thing that I know you care about, Just. But anyway, you know how expedition stuff's getting picked up automatically?
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's gonna happen like Metamorph or not. Like I don't know how the automatic pickup's gonna happen. And then there's also those other parts, like the major parts where you can like re-roll the merchants. I don't know how it's all going to work yet. So I actually kept it in the filter just because I don't know
I can guess.
which part of it. Like maybe you can drop it. Maybe it's something where like it drops, but then it gets sucked up. Or maybe it's exactly like Metamorph where you just see it go.
I think it's like Metamorph. That would be my guess.
But I
Except the
kept it in just in
rerolls would
case.
actually drop.
Maybe, yeah. So I kept them all in, redesigned them all so it looks like what they're supposed to be if they were actually drops. But besides that, that was the only confusing thing because it was content I hadn't experienced. It was a good non-PoE week, Just. And I assume, hang on, Justin, ask me how your week was.
Ty, how was my week?
It was good. I was busy. Yeah, no, it was good.
How much did you get to play around with the tree?
Well, none. Thank you. No. I really wanted to check out the tree, Tyler, but I was just too busy. So going in blind, and that's about it. Thanks for asking, Tyler. You're just the best. You're super kind.
Yeah, that sounds like me. My week was good, but this is a really tough league to not have time before the launch, because I can handle like new items, new skills, totally fine. The tree change was so different that without a lot of time in that tree, it's really, really hard to just go in as blind as I'm used to going, because they talked about like, oh, muscle memory is kind of the same. No. I mean, maybe a little bit, but no, not overall. It's really not. And so the mastery thing it just completely shifts how you're thinking things through. And I watched Ethan, he was doing some builds, and I had texted you and I was like, I might actually just have to find a guide or something, somebody else's build that I like, because I'm not sure I'm gonna have time to play with the tree. So I did get a little bit of time to play with it last night just to get a rough idea of, I have literally, because I was like, I want to play General's Cry. So I have played with the left side of the tree. I still don't know any of the stuff that's happened on the right side.
And that was where obviously the entire tree changed, but that's where probably the more dramatic change happened, because you got rid of dodge and you got rid of, I guess you didn't get rid of evasion. Evasion changed with spell suppression. And right. So it's, even though clusters might be similar, there's so much new content there, right? Even the left side of the tree, it's very different, but it's familiar. Like my Righteous Fire guide all of a sudden has like 85% maximum resist just from or is it? No, I think it's also with Purity of Fire, but like
right.
It's an insane amount of extra stuff, but it's kind of familiar with where it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the masteries. It was kind of funny because it's really hard to plan out a tree in a build and ignore a mastery. Like it feels
I
wrong
know.
to take
Yeah.
the notable and then not take a mastery. But sometimes it's like, well, it might not fit, it might not be worth it, but it's 1 point. It's so hard not to do it because it's 1 point.
Yeah. And you're already there, not for most of the time, you're there because the notable
Sure.
is attractive. Otherwise, it's a lot of nodes for the sake of a mastery. And then when you're dividing, oh, okay, shoot, that's like 5 unwanted nodes for that mastery node, that notable. Like, oh man, like, so yeah.
Well, so like you and I don't tend to play much with jewels, and like we don't plan out
Especially
cluster
clusters.
jewels.
Right.
Sorry, that's what I'm referring to, cluster jewels. In my head, I was laughing to myself, like somebody who regularly plays and plans out with cluster jewels. I'm really curious if this is it just as easy? Do cluster jewels just way outdo the notables? Because now you've got, I mean, probably 15 points committed to cluster jewels roughly if you're doing a number of the cluster jewels. But now you have these notables that you could, these masteries that you could take. I don't know. I'm really curious how somebody, I don't usually tend to plan around cluster jewels, so it wasn't as hard for me, but
I wonder, maybe this is a secret that they didn't tell anybody, but wouldn't it be cool if cluster jewel notables had their own masteries that were hidden that you didn't discover?
like once you open the cluster jewel, you get a new mastery. It's coming,
because they're kind of notables, aren't they?
Sure.
Those like sockets. So that would be kind of neat, depending on whatever stat they felt like referencing would unlock whatever
oh my God.
thing.
Just more.
Sploosh.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, the thing I love about masteries is it's a movable notable.
Sure.
You don't have to go to this one part in the tree for that keystone or that notable. For me, let's say zombies. There's 2 places on the tree where I can get +1 to zombies, right? And I have to go there. Now, in this case, that's actually a very poor example because I can't get +1 to zombies anywhere there's like an offensive mastery. But what I'm saying is like you take something that's that exciting, but you can get it in 4 or 5 different parts of the map. And so you're not married to a very specific cluster just for that notable. And I think that's just such a cool aspect of the game now.
Are the masteries searchable on Path of Building?
Yes. Oh, Path of Building? I don't know. I use PoE Planner and PoE Mate on my phone, and you can type in the exact thing like Chaos Mastery, and it highlights. I assume it would on Path of Building as well.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I assume it probably does, but it doesn't search the specific masteries within the specific options within the mastery. I think is what I'm referring to. Did it?
Yeah. So if I was doing chaos, if I was searching for chaos, or just because I wanted to see where they changed everything, and there's some pretty incredible
and that's the
clusters.
Thing. It's kind of hard to plan because you actually have to, like in POB, you got to go to the area, click the mastery, and then you can see the options that you get. It's going to take a bit to relearn the tree, refigure things out, because the masteries to me just, without having a good amount of time to actually sit down and play with the tree, holy crap, I have not felt this loss since very early on in PoE. Like, thankfully the areas are like, I do get it. I still understand the area I'm in, but it is pathing is different, and planning around like what mastery is worth grabbing the notable, and you were going to grab the notable anyway, but do grabbing all of these masteries end up making my tree more difficult long term because I'm even more committed to this one circle?
Yeah, it's an awesome feeling new again. You know what I mean? Like you and I were still kind of, if for us anyway, zipping through the we beat Act 2 in 3 hours, people, no big deal. But like it's a really nice feeling new again to the game. But at the same time, when I was doing the masteries, I spent a full day doing 2 builds, just scouring the tree, double checking everything, getting everything wrong, doing it again. And all of a sudden, the masteries just made sense. Everything was thematical. Is that a word? Thematical? It was
probably not, but that's fine.
No, everything was organized in a way where the theme of a life mastery, a chaos mastery, a fire damage mastery, like it all made sense, and I didn't feel like I had to go searching, or I discovered something that was in an obscure location. I think the only one that would be kind of different would be something like there's I think an elemental one. That one's a little bit unpredictable, but it's still the only one there's a curse master. I don't know, like it was themed really well so that I wasn't surprised by something like, wait a second, that I didn't see that coming. I could have used this thing in the chaos build for my righteous fire. Like it just kind of made sense. So I so far I'm really, really loving that aspect of it.
That didn't happen to you? Because that definitely did to me, where I'd be like planning or thinking something out and be like, oh my God, okay, now I got to figure something out here. Or I didn't think of some options or.
Oh, definitely. And I posted my righteous fire guide on, I don't know what it was, Tuesday or Wednesday or something. And I think I've changed it 4 times because of community feedback, like, and amazing people. Like on Reddit, I had the most astonishingly positive experience posting my guides. I had people on my thread forums and on Reddit, on Twitter saying, hey, if you remove the 4 nodes around this notable, but then removed this cluster as well, and then shifted them over here, you'd get more life and life regen per node. And I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, no, that's great. I totally missed it. And so like but it's neat. It's cool. And at the same time though, like I had a whole day with the tree. You had 20 minutes.
I don't know that a whole day would have been, maybe a whole day, an entire day. It is not a complaint. I love it. I just didn't have the time to really commit into figuring it out. So we'll see how it goes, but it is so much fun. It's such a fun change to the tree. It's one of the biggest changes I can think of in a really long time that fully, mess up how you're used to playing the tree.
A billion years.
At least.
Yeah. Give or take a couple hundred. Yeah.
Yep.
And one thing that I always tell new people when they're playing my guides too is, or not just a guide, but when they're asking for new advice, is I just tell them like, pick like a mechanic or a skill you love and stick with it and like exhaust it for yourself. Don't like get tempted by other theory crafting options, because then you'll learn all the defensive mechanics and offensive mechanics that revolve around that. You'll become a pro at that, and then you can take that and move it on. It's kind of the same thing. A brand new tree, you're starting on the south end of the tree as a duelist, no, marauder, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so brand new tree. You start off, you all of a sudden you're like, yeah, okay, I got this 2-handed melee stuff down. Next league, you're doing something else, and it'll be good. I mean, this will probably be one of the leagues where you're definitely rolling twice.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, I still would love them to fix the leveling process because it would be a whole lot more fun, but yeah.
Oh, but hey, man, Scourge
Well, we'll talk about the
been
big stuff.
Awesome to level together. Together has been the most hilarious experience. It has been, honestly, we didn't get irritated once in this whole experience so far.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about the league launch in a second. Let's finish up. Well, let's do this week in PoE. That for the people who love our personal talk at the beginning. Sorry, I will say I went to Pita Pit by myself this week.
Thanks for the invite.
I know, Dick. It was glorious. Oh my gosh. I went in and I went out, and there was no weirdo with a crazy order. And yeah,
There's nothing wrong with my order.
I was out in meetings till like 7, so I went by.
Have you seen White Christmas?
And swung by and picked something up. Have I what?
Seen White Christmas?
Yeah, years ago.
Danny K. Bing Crosby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's funny because obviously. Oh, do I? Okay.
Yeah,
because Bing Crosby's obviously the star. Danny K. too, but Danny K. is just my favorite in that show. You remember that part where he's like, 45 minutes, all to myself? No, you don't remember? Well, Justin, 'tis the season. You have 1 month. You're 1 month away from starting to watch Christmas shows. Remember, 45 minutes all to myself when you watch White Christmas this season.
Is that why your streams have said that every now and then?
Oh, it's one of my favorite quotes in the world. It's the second time he says it, not the first, but the reference. Oh my goodness, it's just, I love it. So in this week in PoE, they obviously posted a ton of stuff, but we'll just naturally get into it by talking about the league itself. But it was really cool. Like, Bex went missing for a while, right? She had other things. Chris said, like, she's totally fine. People were worried about her health or whatever it was. She's totally fine. She just has other responsibilities. She came back. Like, we obviously don't know what her roles and responsibilities are per se, but it was awesome having Bex back in the community, throwing out teasers, throwing out her personal messages about, personal tweets about, like, how exciting this is, and, how she's not being able to sleep because she's so stoked to see what our reaction is. And it was just, she was tweeting a lot and having a lot of fun little winky spoilers in there, and it was just it was really cool. It was like the good old days, you know what I mean? So it was pretty sweet. Did you see? So we've had Yoji on. It's Yoji on our show, friend of the show. He's so funny. So funny. It was awesome having him on. I'd love to have him on again. And I love his parodies that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see this league?
His trailers. He does his trailers each league.
Yeah, the official trailer. Did you see this one?
I did.
Oh my goodness. It was probably my favorite one that he's done. I laughed and laughed and laughed because there's so many positive things happening this league. So I was really curious what Yoji would do this week or this league for this one. Still found some funny stuff to make fun of, mostly past stuff though, not new stuff. But oh man, it was, if you haven't seen it, people, Yoji's video, the official, what does he say? The actual Scourge trailer.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that one noise, Yoji, that you do with the sucking.
Oh,
with
yeah,
headphones on, it was awful.
I heard there was a funny little thing where I think Neversink asked for that sound and Yoji gave it to him.
Oh my God. I don't even know what I would want that on.
Just for a week, he throws it on like every scroll of wisdom.
Yeah,
or
it makes
something.
it gross.
Yeah. Now, okay, so here's the thing. I never play for challenges. You care for challenges, like especially if
I
there's
always
a
go
portal.
in thinking I'm going to get it. I never do, but sure.
The trailer for the challenges, the pet looks amazing. I just love pets, and the fact that it's just some like creepy thing that's from The Witcher. Oh my goodness, I love it. But I was thinking about it, and I wanted to show my wife the trailer because she's partially into PoE now, and I'm like, the only reason I'm showing her this is for the music. Like that stuff all looks awesome, but the only reason I'm excited about it because I never care about challenges. I suck too much to get it. That's not my play style. The only reason that video looks amazing is because of the epic music. So I showed it to her and she was like, yeah, but it was so like I was interested in a video I wasn't interested about at all just because the music was rad. I could never, how do artists be artists? How can you, like, if I made a painting and it was nice, I wouldn't be able to do a new painting that was also nice. I'd be like, oh, that was really nice. So then my next painting would be exactly that. Just so I could feel good about it.
That's right. I moved the window to the left side.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have people that write music. I mean, how do you make something new? And how do you make something new again and again and again and again? And it's always good. Anyway, up yours, Camille, for always being so great.
A bit of a magician, it would seem. It is always awesome. We had a Christmas from Badger. Have yourself a merry little Christmas video. That's really good.
Oh, so good. When I watched it probably 10 times. It was like he had 6 of his oh my goodness, it was so funny. It was so funny and so well done. The lyrics were good. His little like YouTube snippets that he threw in the middle of the video were good. But the fun that you could see him having in each of his 6 scenes, you know, like all the background singers that he was voicing, you just have to have so much fun doing it. Like you could just picture him just totally nerding out and having a great time setting it up and being so excited to publish that video, even if 3 people watched it. But my goodness, that was one of my kudos, Badger. If you ever hear this, that was an amazing video. My favorite one that I've ever seen in the PoE community. So funny. Oh my goodness. And even Ziz, like this has been such a weird and crazy league. Like Ziz is, and this I don't know if this is new or not, but I noticed it this league. Ziz is coming out with videos. He's obviously huge. Anybody's video that's attached to Ziz will get thousands more views. He's shouting out other creators. Shack Central was one. There was a few others in there. He's shouting out other content creators' builds, which I think is really cool of Ziz. Really awesome for the other content creators. I thought that was a really neat collaboration there. Watch, he's getting paid under the table. Nah, but I thought that was all like, it was just such a really good, positive week. And honestly, I know people are going to freak out. Sorry, my kids are doing their best to be quiet with their feet, but it's not working too well. So my apologies if you have to edit stuff out extra. But no, this has been probably one of the most positive league launches.
They just don't want you to talk.
No, they don't. Every time I speak, people, I don't know what you're going to be able to hear or not once Justin's finished editing, but every time I speak, it's like my kids queue upstairs to go.
They hear you speaking. They're like,
just running. Yeah.
Go ahead. Say that again. It's been the what? Something about positive league? You are the worst.
My phone's on D&D. That wasn't my alarm for the kids to clean up. We normally record. We normally record
Oh my
before we
God.
pick the
I'm
kids up
keeping
from
all
school.
this
There's
in.
no school.
All
Yeah,
of it.
whatever, man. Whatever.
Can you please just
It's-
get your point out? It's been a good league. Whatever. Is
It's
that what
going
you're
to be
trying to
dinner
say?
time soon. At least my wife's taking care of dinner today. But what was I saying?
No
Gosh,
idea.
I hate you so much.
Something about it's been a good positive
It's been a
league.
positive league launch.
Okay, there
like
we
not
go.
just like before the launch, but the whole community. Like people on my Reddit post have been, well, I mean, there's always a couple douchebags, but there've been positive, but the conversation always trails away, right? And people like start talking about builds and this and that and GGG's history of this or whatever. But it's been good. It's been edifying. People have been excited for all this stuff, this whole new. Like I know that we, even though it was a really good intention and we actually really did appreciate it, but that like 9 hours of podcast at the beginning of 315 that exhausted us, it really set the precedent for maybe a new attitude from the community, but also GGG had a very new and different release schedule this time around, very different mentality, or I guess same mentality, but went about a different way. They've always trying to put us first type of thing. But man, every corner of the community that I've been in has been like 90%. I can't wait for this league. They've just been super stoked and positive and excited. So I'm happy for the company, man. They really needed this. You know what I mean? They've been just getting the crap kicked out of them for a while, so it's good.
I hope the rest of the league launch continues with it going well. I'm excited about it. Let's just jump into it. Let's talk a little bit about the league. Obviously, the launch went pretty smoothly.
For you and I, it did. We were what 40 and 70,000 in the queue, and
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Once our 12 o'clock hit, we were 5 minutes and we were in.
In City, it was pretty bad for me, but that's kind of the case. I mean, you also imagine just as many people playing, throw on all the friggin' MTX.
It's always the MTX.
Yep, all the time. We got the guild thing tested out, and that works, which is cool. So guild hideouts work, and
figuring it out.
FYI, you got to get to Helena before you can have a guild hideout.
Yeah, we didn't know that. We were all excited about like Justin signs in, and even before he does anything, first he gets to Lion Eye. Is it Lion Eye's watch? Lion's Eye what?
Sure. Yes.
7 years. I don't know the
place.
one place I've been the most.
Act 1.
Is it hideout or hideout? Anyway, and we're like trying to figure it out. Like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Anyway, we ended up finding in the top right of your world screen, you go to the top right, there's a guild hideout icon, which is really cool.
Kind of meshes into the map. It's actually not super clear. Like, I didn't even notice it at first.
But because we were so excited, we were looking for content we wouldn't normally be looking for, I guess. And anyway, that's where you find out you got to talk to Helena to unlock it. So as soon as Justin saw Helena, away testing some of the options, pretty neat. Lots of free stuff. Like there's definitely not a money grab.
You basically get all of the normal hideouts and then any of the hideouts that have been non-MTX that have been unlocked by the guild leader. So like the one from Glacier, we had that one, and the one from Summit, I had that one. So those ones were available to use for the guild. And then obviously you can purchase the MTX ones as well. Even if you have them on your personal account, you do have to repurchase them for the guild, which is fine. It's weird how you give points to the guild because it actually takes you to the website. So you can't do it in game. You click the button and it takes you to the PoE website, and then you can donate points to the guild.
Oh, interesting.
From within there.
And then it just has a bank, and then it's only yourself in this situation that can spend them?
I would imagine so. I would imagine so. I'm not really sure. I hope that they at some point add the ability to let officers decorate as well, or edit a hideout.
Yeah, it'd be cool if I could do, because I'd like to be able to make some changes for sure. I think one purchase we do need to make, Justin, and I will donate this money. We need the Atlas table.
Oh yeah, I guess you probably have to buy that separate, eh?
That is the coolest decoration. The interactive people, the Atlas table was like $15 when I bought it, and it was the second best thing I ever bought in the game. First thing was the currency tab. This thing, it's an Atlas table. It's technically it's the old Atlas from the Shaper and Elder days, but it's the Atlas spread out on a big, large desk, bunch of candles burning. You can click on that desk in your hideout and it brings up your Atlas. What? Oh,
it is pretty sweet.
Need. And it always needs to be in shade because the candles look nicer.
Right now, with the Forever Exiled guild has the fall custom hideout that he made for us a while ago. So if you love your grass,
It's a high cut, folks. It's a high cut. We're definitely at around the 4.5 inch.
Oh my gosh, it's luscious.
Always breezy in that part of the world.
That's right. Yep. Oh, barefoot, you're in heaven. But yeah, it's fun. So the guild stuff worked, and we played around with that.
We should have a guild rule. You have to take your shoes off before you go into the hideout.
Yep. So we played together.
Like the biggest diss of a yep ever.
Completely disregarded. Okay. So we played together, which we haven't done in a long time. We haven't done a league launch where we played together.
True.
For the first couple acts, and it's been fun. The league launch has been quite smooth. It's been quite good. Well, I mean, I guess we could quickly just chat. What's your build, or how are you playing it now?
Yeah. So you little high school peer pressure. I was all ready for launch. I'm like, I got to do one of my builds. It's a brand new tree for both my builds. Got to level it. And you're like, Ty, I haven't had a chance to do anything yet. I got to wing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that sucks, man. And he's like, no, it's great. So I'm like, oh, I don't have. And you're like, you should wing it, Ty. And then just as I'm like broadcasting, getting ready, I'm like, okay, how can I do this brand new build and doing this? And then all of a sudden the league launch and it's my queue and I'm like, oh, I got to pick my class. So then I panicked and I'm not winging it. I'm doing my bone zombie guide. So that's a necromancer. Eventually it's only going to be zombies. In terms of damage, everything else support, it'll have specters. You can use specters for whatever you want. I like to get them for frenzy charges. And then I always forget what it's called. What's the dome that stops projectiles? You know, the protection field some enemies have. It's like
yes, I do. I don't know
proximity
what it's called.
Thing.
Shield.
Anyway, yeah, so I like to have one or two of those kicking around, and then some frenzy charges. Then there's the golem to do feeding frenzy and stuff, but it's primarily a zombie build. Pure physical damage, and it has been for the last maybe year and a half. Long time ago it was hatred and cold, but now it's just pure physical, and it's such a nice league for it to go because people have in their head elemental minions are still fantastic, but people have in their head because of how elemental equilibrium changed that pure physical minions is the only way to go. Not a lot of people, but some, and they're pretty loud. So it's nice to have that pure physical build going out there. People are going to give it a shot, and I'm excited for it because with how the skill tree changed, the passive tree, there's so much more minion survivability at the beginning of the game for me. Like right off the bat, my first 5 nodes, I have minion life and minion damage. My very first cluster is minion resist. My second cluster, I think, is also defense. And so even though my zombies are still completely useless against Brutus,
until he slams, yep. After he slams,
so
yep.
I have 3 zombies, and Brutus does 3 slams. It's a really good combo because it's like, boom, 1 dead, boom, 1 dead, boom, 1 dead, even though they all die from the first one. And so luckily I have SRS at that point, and then it's a little bit later that you get skeletons. No, SRS is fine without you, Justin, but it was a pleasure to have you around.
It's debatable.
But anyway, the point is from Brutus on, my zombies live through everything, and that's never happened. It's normally near the end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3, where I'm like, okay, it's time for me to ditch skeletons or SRS. Still a slower process, but that was when I would do it. Now, it was before I went to Merveille that my zombies were, because I could get, what was it, like my 9th or 11th node or something like that? I forget, where I could get minions could leech 1% of their life right off the bat. But there's so much life on the way to that node already that I'm like, sweet, I don't care if they hit like wet noodles. I just don't want to re-raise them. So it's been such an exciting experience for me as a zombie lover. I mean, again, we're only at the end of Act 2, but all the other changes really excite me as well. My tree is totally different than it used to be. Oh my goodness, does it reach far and wide, but I'm really liking it. So yeah, the necro zombies, that's what I'm doing. What are you doing? Nobody even knows what you're doing.
I want to actually, even I don't know what I'm doing. I want to quickly point out before I say what I'm doing. Tyler just said that we finished Act 2. We fully realize this is coming out on Sunday. The league has been out since Friday, but because we love your faces so much, we stopped playing so that we could record. So don't judge us on Sunday and be like, oh, which we've had. Some of you wonderful people, you suck. What do you say anything about PoE? You can't even beat Act 2. Listen, we're trying, all right? We're working our way through it. Give us a break. Anyway.
Our end league goal is to beat Dominus.
Yep.
The first time.
Yeah. Crazy. So I'm right now, I'm just playing with Splitting Steel. I'm making a Marauder. I'm going to go General's Cry. And I haven't quite figured out much else besides that. I have a bit of an idea on a tree. I did go and look at some other ideas for, especially with the masteries, how some people are playing it. Not figured out exactly yet what I'm going to pair with General's Cry yet, but I am just right now, Splitting Steel is easy to level with. And so we'll see. I don't know. Right now it's been fine. I'm enjoying it. The build is relatively, it's just easy. I'm just playing with two-handed axes, so you can craft them literally every single act to make sure
tell me about the craft. I didn't even know about this. Not like I would know, but there's so many cool crafts I don't know about. Yeah, tell me what's this craft that you're doing to get your axe?
So you pair a rustic sash, which is the global damage,
the
global
belt
physical
that
damage.
has physical global damage. Yeah.
Yep. And a whetstone with, I think you can actually do it with any weapon, but so I'm doing it with a two-handed axe. So I just know what two-handed axe becomes available at each act, like where would my next upgrade be. But anyway, you sell that and you get a blue version of the weapon that rolls percentage increased physical damage
of the weapon you traded in. So it's the same base type.
Correct. And the links stay the same and all that kind of stuff. So, and then you can throw like an augment onto it and see if you get lucky with something. You could probably even go and just throw it into your crafting bench. I don't remember when you can unlock the physical craft, but you could actually make it even stronger that way. But it just makes it so that you always have something doing high physical damage as you're leveling through. So it just helps the damage. Yep. I literally have a sheet that just has just for crafts, because I use it all the time for wands when we're doing, if I'm playing anything that has is doing elemental damage, because it's so much easier to just get +1 on your wands, or even just add it.
Can you craft +1 to a gem, or is it just luck of a roll?
Well, so the easiest thing to craft is to add damage to spells. Yeah, and that's probably the easiest, because you can just add like a boat ton of lightning damage or something onto a wand and do a ton of damage. So yeah, so far it's been fine. It's been fun. Like league-wise in general has been good. Scourge has been a really good time.
It has.
So there's a few things about it. Yeah.
What's the ascendancy that's tempting you? Because now we're going to go away from our builds. Ascendancy.
Berserker.
Oh, I thought you said marauder. Berserker.
Like insanely slurred my words or something.
I don't know. Discord's being funky.
Oh, yeah. Yours has actually been a little weird too. I thought it was just your face, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, we'll see. That's the current direction. It's pure damage.
Yeah.
You throw rage into Berserker 2 and you just get even more damage. So we'll see.
And it is so GGG. Thank you for making party play so crazy this league. The drops are perfect. Fun. Like it. Oh my goodness. All Justin and I are doing are waiting for us to forget what's going on, forget what league we're playing, and it'll be like, oh, hang on, let me just check this item, or oh, hang on, I leveled up, or wow, oh, what skill should I pick? In your new Scourge tree or whatever it is, and then it's exactly then. Right as somebody, like if I'm looking at my passive tree, Justin's always hitting the Scourge button to switch it in and get all the people attacking us. Or as soon as I hear Justin like, which one should I'm hitting V and I'm like, yeah. And then
which is cool, because there have not been very many leagues where, so the blood is shared for the whole party. And it's not just the instance owner that can activate the Scourge effect. I don't know what they call it. It's not called the Scourge effect. I don't know what it is. Where you go into a new dimension. The Scourge guy didn't even showed
up for me the very first time. I had to backtrack and reset the instance. So
yeah,
I don't know what it's called. I skipped it.
Whatever. When you go into this fourth dimension of Scourgeness, that you can either of us can activate it, and it affects both of us, and it's a lot of fun because you don't have to tell the other person, and there is literally no notification. It doesn't even make a sound. There's literally nothing. All of a sudden there's just mobs.
It's streamless though.
Yep.
It's so Justin, people are going to hate me for saying this, or maybe I'm jinxing it and we're going to have like a massive problem tomorrow on Saturday. Because remember, people, it's Friday today, not Sunday, but it's been perfect. I'm sure there's bugs, but I
almost
nothing. What, like everything's
we've had loot disappear. It's definitely happened a couple times now, and you think that okay. So I have two things I just want to add or just put onto that.
All right, get the negative stuff out of the way.
Well, they are, and they kind of need to be fixed. One of them is the loot is not dropping at your feet, and they portrayed it as if you do the Scourge thing, and when you come out of it, the loot drops at your feet, and it needs to drop at your feet because you're already on this timed thing of like kill as much as you can. When the loot drops where the monster dies, now I got to stop to pick it up, and I'm under a timer. And even worse than all of that, it's not like Delirium. When Delirium ends, Delirium just disappears, and I'm still in the same spot, so I can, whatever, go pick stuff up. In this case, when it ends, I'm teleported back to the beginning. And if I didn't continue forward in the map, because you don't have to, you can go any direction when the Scourge 4D dimension opens up. If you get pulled back, now you have to run. I do not want to have to run backwards.
No, yeah, you'll never go backwards in your map, because then you'll have to go backwards in your map when you come back to reality. So that is kind of, I don't know if it's an oversight or if that's just a pro and con.
No, but they said the loot was supposed to drop at your feet. That's why I'm not sure if
literally?
they just... Yeah.
Literally?
There was a conversation where Chris talked about the loot dropping. They showed it, and now I maybe they weren't talking about Scourge, but in the instance that they showed, it was specific to Breach, but they were talking about Scourge prior to that. But why on earth would you not do it in Scourge too? It's just, we've noticed, I've noticed items go missing. I've run back to where they were, and they're not there, and they didn't drop at my feet either. And I'm a little worried, is the item
might be
gone?
some stuff. Yeah.
So it could be just a bug. But those are my two things, is that the first one, if the loot's disappearing, I hope that that's something they can fix and they can sort out. But over than that, I don't want to loot during that. It's a really limited time. It's probably longer later and you move faster, but like, we're fighting to try and find enemies sometimes. And I don't want to have to be worried about like, oh, something good dropped, I got to pick that up before I kill more people. I don't want to do that. So I'm hoping that it will change to just kill as much as you can, and then whoop, zips me back, and then just dump the crap there. That's what I would rather.
Yeah, I think that would, I mean, we don't know the pros and cons for why it is or isn't a certain way, but I would like it to drop up as soon as that Scourge instance is done and we're teleported back to the normal world. I would love for everything that's dropped to kind of drop there, just because the game isn't linear, right? And so you're going to be fighting a lot of enemies in that Scourge instance, and there's going to be dead ends. And how do you, I mean, maybe it's supposed to be our responsibility to remember what dropped, and then we want to go back to that far end of the dead end in that dungeon. But what if we don't remember? It was really intense. All we were trying to do is stay alive and kill. And then we have to kind of backtrack everywhere we've been and just discover if we've, it's kind of like an abyss, right? If you're when you're following the abyss, if you're doing your best to kill everything fast, some people backtrack and they follow the crack all the way back because they don't know what they've missed, right? They're so busy on trying to kill and stay alive. So
I think that when you talk about it that way, and you and I were talking about what we played, one of the biggest reasons I think they need to make that change is because of how much we were talking about how much we love the Scourge, this 4D thing. We're just playing through the map. We hit the button and we're just killing more mobs. We're continuing on. We're not taken out of the area. We're not having to slow down. We're just moving. And I think you lose that when all of a sudden you say, oh, you need to go find the loot that you couldn't pick up, because at a certain point you would not be picking up the loot, just like in a Delirium. You're just going as fast as you can to try and kill stuff, and now you got to backtrack. And it would really suck if they didn't keep that side of Scourge, which is so good, which is just keep going. You're going to play, you're going to fight guys. The thing was filling up so fast, and we were only in Act 2. And we were doing it like multiple times in a zone. Like, it was awesome, except that I don't want to, you take like some of the areas in Act 2, you kill a mob and you're on the top platform and there's stairs that come down and it's on the bottom. Well, now to get it, I got to like run down the stairs, go around the corner. I've just wasted all my time in the blood. So that's my only concern. I love Scourge. I think it's so fun. I love how simple it is.
Agreed.
The transmuting thing. So let's talk about that, because obviously we're relatively early into it. I've got like 10 points.
Before we get into that, I want to say one wicked co-op thing, because I'll probably forget. One thing I really like, you and I play at different paces, and you have been extremely generous at playing a slower pace to accommodate my slow pace. But I'm still behind in some maps, especially because it's a new tree, leveling takes a little bit longer, that kind of stuff. So, and I've even been ahead of you a couple times, which is weird. But when we hit that Scourge button, there's enemies no matter where we are. It's not just where the person who hits it, or it's not just the person who's farther ahead in the map. So if you're 2 screens ahead of me and you hit the Scourge button, I have plenty to do right around me. You know what I mean? And I'm helping out to that whole Scourge bar filling thing. And it's great. Like, I'm not being left out because I'm slower. And then it's not like, you're light years ahead of me by the end of the instance.
Right, because I can
Well,
pull
I guess
back in.
I don't think instance is the right word, but anyway, at the end of the Scourge encounter, because you go right back to where you were, I go back to where I was, and it's just so co-op wonderful. It is really streamlined. It's good.
They have created my favorite mini game ever in Path of Exile, which is, can I kill you with the Scourge activation? And can I screw you with the Scourge activation? Like, I have tried planning when he goes through portals for the trials. I've tried it based on corners when I know he's coming through something. It is so much fun. And then mostly just by accident, I was able to kill him once because he had his passive tree open and I hit it. It was awesome.
It is so fun. And I try and screw you over just as much. Here's a hint, Justin. Wait till I'm on a narrow passage. You've killed me twice with the Scourge button so far. But the second time, incidentally, I was in a doorway.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
I couldn't get out. And it was one of those like weird, massive things that it has actually, I gotta say, I didn't even write this down. I'm glad I thought of it. I am only in Act 2. Okay, I'm not end game, so maybe I will completely change my opinion. But one thing that's always driven me nuts in this game is clarity, visibility. There's too much going on for me to know what I need to do or how I'm failing or what I need to get better at. It's just too busy. To me, it's a game of luck most of the time. You know what I mean? You're rolling the dice. So far, and again, only Act 2, it's busy, but I'm like, oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, no, look at that. No. And I'm like, I see there's like these big tells. However they're doing their animation for these monsters, I'm able to see what's going on, and I'm finding the encounters difficult, but I'm surviving, but I still feel like it's hard. And it's just, to me, like a really good balance. I've really enjoyed it. That being said, that first or second time you killed me, that one time where you caught me in a door, one of those big guys was there. But I'm surrounded, and I don't have anything phasing at this point. I don't think quartz flasks are dropping yet. I forget when they start dropping. Anyway, I should have had a withering step on. I bought it. It's in my inventory. Dang it. Anyway, so I'm stuck in the doorway, and I see this big guy. He's going to smash, and I'm like, nah! Checkpoint.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing too, if you die in Scourge, you come back where you started the Scourge.
Right. Yeah. So I died, and it was still in the Scourge moment. So I went back to the very beginning of that level. And so I'm like, oh, walking. But then the Scourge moment ended. And then I was teleported to where I was originally when the Scourge. So yeah, that was really cool. I did like that a lot. Good. Thanks for bringing that up.
And, you talk about being able to see stuff. And again, we'll see the league's only been out for a couple hours. So, but it's another reason why loot should just drop at the end so that you can focus on, because they're new mobs. Like, they're different skins, they look different skills. Like, I'd like to enjoy looking at them and figuring out a little bit what they do. So, but anyway, let's get into the what do you want to call it? The scourging, transmuting, alkene, corrupting chamber of Val.
I love it, but I don't understand it. Like, I get the basic concept, but here, I'll say the one thing I don't understand, because I have nothing but positive things after this. The one thing I don't understand is, in the reveal that Chris was showing us, Chris CH, not our buddy Chris, but our New Zealand Chris, he showed us being able to level the things up a few times, like being able to crucible it a few times. And between both of us, you were able to get something to a second tier once.
I thought so. It wasn't.
No. Oh, okay. So anyway, we're just trying to figure out, we haven't been able to do that. We've tried a few different methods. Maybe it's just not available yet, but because we saw the reveal, we were thinking that we could. So we're trying to figure that out. So, but outside of that, and I think it's awesome. It's a free alk, man. It's a free alk on tons of cool stuff. It is.
I know. I just like how you threw in the man at the end. It's a free alk. Man.
Right on, man. No, but it's like you get the sockets you want, or you get that 3-link or that 4-link while you're leveling, you throw it in. Woo!
As long as it's a white item. If you throw a blue item in, it will stay blue. But yes, it is cool because for me, when we talked about it, I was like, this is going to be for my gloves, my helmets, and my boots. Those would be the ones that as I'm leveling, because it's a little tough on the amulets and the rings, because some of those negatives are rough when you're leveling.
Yeah, they are.
Like minus 23 to a resist. It's like, my favorite one so far was reduced rarity. I was like, okay, I can handle that. I'm fine with that. But minus 20 something to a resist is pretty tough early on.
Oh no, it is. And I'm getting a lot of negative resists on a lot of my stuff.
I assume it's just because they're low item level. Maybe there's only certain things it can roll. Like me, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your lightning
either.
one was my favorite though.
What?
The wand you got that had.
Oh yeah, it said 40. Like I don't know what the actual number was, but it said like 40% increased lightning damage. Deal no lightning damage.
So good.
Screw you, game. But yeah, no, that one was an awesome one to laugh at for sure. I kind of like that that's allowed.
I do too.
I think that's great. Like, I don't think there should be a rule that separates those mods. I quite like that. But I am finding from leveling, and again, I don't know when all these mods unlock at what stage, but to have a lot of negative resist mods at the beginning of the games, just to me, for the type of player I am, I'm just throwing them out. Because I haven't figured out how to get them to the tier 2 to try and change those new implicits or enchants, whatever they're supposed to be called. Because either they're not available or we don't know how yet. I'm just vendoring them, but it's an awesome source of all that minor currency. You're getting all those extra shards, alteration shards, transmute shards, whatever you're getting, even on the rare occasion, some alch shards based on the mod. And this, because of all these junk items I'm getting, right? Because I'm getting all these negative resist, because I'm getting all these junk items, I'm vendoring a lot more, and I'm able to purchase every gem I want from the vendor. And I'm never able to do that. Normally I need to like really save my transmutes. Definitely got to save my alterations. But I've had plenty. I bought everything apathetically and I have plenty left over. And like by plenty, I mean like I have 4 transmutes left over after buying, but still I've never been in that position before. It's nice. And it's not a tedious way to go about getting these items. You know what I mean? And a lot of the other leagues that I've even enjoyed, the interaction of it was still tedious in terms of items. And so this is really nice. I got a 3-link. Great. Well, you know what? That item didn't work, but here's another 3-link. And all of a sudden I'm finding my inventory is full of white items because they have the links I want. And I'm just throwing them in. No, that didn't work. No, that didn't work. No, that didn't work. And I'm loving it. And every time you try and screw me over, it still helps me because I'm going to get that item that I want. Maybe, probably not.
I like too that you're the new skill tree for this section of Scourge. You don't have to be corrupting an item in order to get that experience towards those. So as long as you're doing the 4th dimension Scourge fighting thing, you're getting the experience that allows you to level up that new skill tree. And really? I like that.
You don't have to have an item in there? Oh, that's cool.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun to just throw something in there. I think the thing I like from a leveling point of view is, you're right. A lot of the stuff is like, can't use that, but it's something that you would not have had otherwise. I can take as in a Act 1, a 3-link and just throw it in there and be like, well, I don't have any elk, so let's see what I get.
Right.
Why not? And that's so fun.
It is. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit of a different story for how I normally play once we get into maps, right? Like by Sunday, we will be in maps, but we're not at this point. And like right now, I'm showing white items in my filter because it's for leveling, right? I'm showing, the 3 links up to a certain point and then only 4 links at a point, but I'm getting white items and I'm throwing them in and it's great to see what I get. But once mapping starts, there's only certain base types I'm showing. They're only going to be rare. And so that's
fine though.
Yes, but this only changes that fancy implicit that it has. It doesn't change the mods on the item. As far as I know, it hasn't changed any mods for me yet.
But it could change it so it's so awesome. Because to me, what's cool when you get to mapping is you go, oh, that ring is actually better than mine. So maybe I swap the ring, but I take this one I just took out and throw it in and see, does it maybe get something that all of a sudden makes it, I don't know, that makes it better than that one?
But my point is you're not going to put a garbage rare that you picked up in there because it's still going to be garbage, right? Like if, let's say you have boots and you have 75% life on boots, only 20% movement speed and a couple 20 resists, like it's a pretty good, but pretty average pair of boots. To find that again isn't going to happen too often. And so how often are you going to throw something you want in there? Because the stuff you want
every time.
Well, but it doesn't happen every map where you find a rare that you're willing to be like, oh, okay, let's check it out.
Yep, that's true. But you could always, I don't know how long they'll take. I mean, he said that the third thing was like 10 or 20 maps to go that third level up. So we're not even close to that right now. But I just think I think that it's added something, most importantly, that does not slow us down. It doesn't make it so that we're, it's a little slower for us in the sense that we're like, ooh, I have a point to spend. Ooh, what can I do? What can I use this on? And that's kind of fun. I know that will eventually not be the case because this most likely goes core. So within a league or two, we'll have a very good idea of how you want to spend those points. Right now, it's quite new and it's fun. But it is fun to just have this free alch that's running in the background that sometimes completely butchers your item. And sometimes you're like, I can make this work.
Totally. And here's the funny thing, Justin, that deal 40% extra damage, deal no lightning damage. Like that, here's some extra lightning damage. No, you can't do any lightning damage wand or scepter that I got. I'm using it because it rolled +1 to all physical gems. Like okay, like even if I was doing an elemental build, which I'm not, as long as I'm not doing lightning, I'm like, if I was doing any physical build, that's pretty good.
It's actually a really good idea for wands because especially if you're looking for those +1s, because you're just getting that free alch and you're getting it almost every zone. It's maybe 1 or 2 zones right now.
Yeah, we don't know if you can do V, like you can go into Scourge multiple times a map, but sometimes we've seen that our thing doesn't increase. Do you remember why?
The only time that happened was we left a zone to another zone and then came back into the zone and that zone stopped gaining blood. So it was weird because it only happened the one time.
Probably a glitch. We'll see that in the patch notes coming up.
Yeah, I imagine I'm sure there's certain things. We haven't looked into like the Reddit stuff or if there's people saying like, this doesn't work. But for us so far, it's been reasonably stable for sure.
Extremely stable. You did crash. There was one thing you had. You had a crash with your guild hideout experimenting. It was like one hideout base type that just seemed to crash you every time, but all your other ones seemed to work.
It was me importing a download of a hideout that I had gotten before. So there could be something wrong with that actual design.
Oh, okay.
It might be pulling something but it did crash my game, but thankfully it wasn't at the point that there were any queues anyway. But I love that you can import hideouts for guild hideouts too, because I need that.
We don't know how we're gonna do all the guild stuff yet. We know that there's a lot of hype, so just ask us on Discord or whatever medium you use to
Global
communicate
21,
with us.
21.
Pardon me?
Global 21 as well.
In the game too. So we don't know if there's going to be new options. Before you could only be invited to guilds. We don't know if you're allowed to make it open or how it works. So Justin and I are still figuring out how it's all going to go. But if you're interested in it, let us know, and then we'll get the information we need to set you up. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Grass for everybody.
Oh yeah. Now, one thing that I don't know if you care about, but I thought was awesome is when we're going in, or when we're returning from the Scourge reality to our normal reality, I love the natural visual way that GGG has shown us that we have a split second of safety. Every time we come back from Scourge to the normal reality, all the monsters are stunned. But they have the icon, the spinning icon above their head, where I think, what is it? If you stun a monster for, I think it's over 0.7 seconds, they get that stun icon above their head. I think that's the number.
Oh, I haven't even noticed the icon above their head.
Yeah, and so you'll notice when you come back from Scourge, all the monsters have that spinning thing above their head. And it's just for a moment, but I really like that. There's that extra, instead of just the monster standing there and waiting, there's an extra visual indicator there, like, all right, you got a split second, get your capture, go! You know what I mean? And so I like that. I thought that was a nice touch. And it was neat that they used a visual indicator that already existed in the game.
Right. It is nice because it's not like Alva style, hey, here's a bunch of spitters that just kick your ass.
Oh,
the second you load into
Alva.
it.
Yeah. No,
she's
like
the worst.
yeah, and it's not even like some stupid. She's not even like it's not even like there's a countdown where it's like okay 3, 2, 1. It's just there's a stun.
That's the best part about Scourge is there's no countdown. I love the fact that I can hit it at a different part of the map and just be like, and if you and I the whole time we're like, ah, damn it, when the other person does it because you don't know it's coming. I love that. I love that it's not like Scourge in 3, 2.
Oh, it is so good. I really hope they don't change it. That there's not people.
No,
whining.
it's perfect.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine that in hardcore. Amazing. I just love that. The idea like to purposely be able to kill your friend is perfect.
I like
it's
the
exactly what
concept
PoE's
of you.
been missing.
What?
It's exactly what PoE's been missing.
Oh, 100% intentional death, and it's the same league that they add linked stuff.
Right.
Oh, so great.
See, that's not great for me. If we eventually do it where, oh no, because I just never link to you. So
right,
yeah,
you die if you link to me and I die. So if I link to you, it's no problem for you. You're not going to die. It's just your linked buddy is always going to be dying. Like, I didn't need your link anyway, you moron.
What I am going to keep is like a Val RF RF combo so that if you press it when I'm not ready, I'll just be like, all right, fine. And I'll Val RF and turn RF on.
Dead. Yeah, no, it's funny. I just love the concept of you, the idea of you standing. So like, I don't know, we're on our way to Merve, let's say, and you're right at our boss gate, but that you use your leap skills and you're leaping across chasms.
Right, part of the game. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then and I'm not using those skills, so I go the long way around. I like the concept of you just waiting there, and then every now and then just starting Scourge. Well, I'm like still trying to get to your. No, okay, and now we're done. Okay, Tyler, you got 5 seconds. Scourge.
I can't remember what section it was where I purposefully was doing it just to make it take you longer to get to something. I can't remember what it was, but it was in one of the trials too. Being able to do a Scourge to someone in amongst traps and then they get teleported back to traps. Genius.
I love it. It is good. Be
It's
careful
so
who you run your parties with.
Yeah,
people.
100%. That's right.
Oh man, they add that. The same league that they're doing linking. They add that the same league that they're doing guild hideouts, which you know now.
That new move too, where you can like memorize your spot and then go backwards or whatever.
Right,
Arcane
the
Rift or whatever.
Thing. Yeah, that Yoji joked was stolen from Last Epoch. No, but like they add all this, and like even when you add guild hideouts, you know that there's just going to be more party play.
Sure.
In that league. So that's when you also have the link skills, right? More party play, you have the link skills, you have the guild hideout. So yeah, okay, let's have a league where you can just V somebody and they're dead.
And there's no, you can't do anything about it. It's not like I can be like, well, I'm going to change a party setting that only I can hit the V.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Everybody hits the V.
It's good.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really fun. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be playing some more, hopefully tonight. I am at least, and definitely before we do After Dark, so we have some more to chat about, but it's been fun. This has been I know it's a lot of people out there, but this is one of the most excited I've been for a league launch in a bit.
Oh, hands down. And it's really cool. Even our Discord community, which you're more than welcome. When you join our Discord community, it's really awesome. It's a very safe place. There's no like stupid rules. You're just not allowed to be a prick. But if you do, and in all honesty, we don't care if there's 3 people in it. We don't care if there's 3,000 people in it. But when you join, it's a very wonderful place to talk about stuff, but you don't have to agree with everybody. There's people disagreeing with each other all the time, but they're totally cool with each other. And so if you don't like Scourge, you can still join our Discord. It's okay.
Yeah, and then tell me why, because you're crazy.
Yeah, you crazy boy, girl. Yeah.
Anyway, It's super fun. I'm excited to get right back into playing it. So I think we're getting close to wrapping up episode 107.
Totally. We got to
Exiled.
we got to figure out this Discord thing because you're sounding like Chris Wilson when he's doing.
You've been sounding like that through me the whole time. I don't care how it sounds to each of us because the recording's fine. So.
I know, but it's still like when Chris talks at the same time as someone else in those interviews.
I had a chat with Camille about it.
You had a what?
A chat with Camille about it for getting them to fix that. So hopefully they do, because it is really frustrating when you have somebody cutting out as they're trying to speak.
Chris should always, there should be some sort of Discord setting where there's like a boss. You're like, okay, right click on this person, they're the boss. If they're speaking at the same time as everyone else, only they're heard.
Well, it's called ducking, but the way that Discord is doing it is not good. It's 2 settings within Discord that need to be turned off, but ours are just being stupid. So Anyway, 107. What?
I know you want to finish, but lawn people, there's we get given a hard time when we don't talk about lawn. So sorry, people.
It's monsoon outside.
It's been
Can't do
raining
anything.
for 2 weeks straight.
Yes.
Our lawns love it.
Can I tell you
fantastic. Me?
I saw a freaking mushroom on my lawn, and I have not been so angry, I don't think ever, at my yard. I want to murder that effing bunny because my family is still feeding it. And I think it's part of the reason I'm dealing with brown grass. There's little shits all over the place.
He's not talking about kids.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
That's hilarious.
I want to kill it. I want to murder it, put its head on a pike, and put it out there as a warning to the rest of them. Beware.
Mushrooms are good, though. It means that there's wood underneath that's dying, and it's going to be gone.
It's fungus. No, it's not good. What are you?
No, we had on our front right lawn. My driveway. My driveway splits 2 front yards, so I technically have 2 front yards. On the right, there used to be 3 massive trees. We get mushrooms there, but that's because the wood is dying underneath. Those roots are all.
That's not why
dying.
I have mushrooms. I have mushrooms because of fungus. But the mushrooms are
from
like
your neighbor.
No, it's at the corner right by my door. Like there's no wood. It's just the fungus that I don't know if it's the fungus that happened over the summer. I'm not really sure where it came from, but it makes me angry and I got to figure it out. So
stop pissing on your lawn.
Nobody pisses on my lawn. The dog's not even allowed out there. Plus, piss just kills the lawn. It doesn't make.
I could see mushrooms. You like walking out like, hey, you guys all see my lawn?
Hey, if it would get rid of the bunny, I would pee all over it. Anyway, let's wrap this up. Episode 107, Forever Exiled, Path of Exile podcast. I'm Justin AK Tags.
Tyler Record these.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. You're awesome. If you're looking for more information, you can find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a Discord, which you should join because it's awesome. Patreon and other information is down below. Patrons will catch you in After Dark. Everybody 108. Hopefully Scourge is awesome.
You're getting really good at those endings. You're getting to be one of those like speedy radio people. You're good. You're good, man.
Bye.
Can't wait to figure out that guild stuff. Oh, it's going to be good.